The world 24/7. We couldn't have done it without NetSuite.
NetSuite by Oracle gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place. They surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of top strategies they're using as America reopens for business. Receive your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now, and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
Well, the American Academy of Pediatrics is offering more guidance on mask wearing for children. Fox's Tanya J. Powers has more.
The American Academy of Pediatrics says that kids over the age of 2 should wear masks, recommending them for school, childcare, and other group settings when they're not able to physically distance.
If we don't follow those public health guidelines, it's going to be hard for us to get these numbers to start going down with the community spread.
Dr. Sally Goza is the AAP's president and says some patients have given her ideas on how to get kids accustomed to the masks.
They have a competition at home to see who can wear their mask the longest at home. And that's how they got their younger child to start wearing it long enough to wear it in school.
The AAP has COVID-19 resources for parents at healthychildren.org. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
And quite the birthday this weekend for a woman in North Carolina who's seen a thing or two in her life. Fox's John Saucier explains.
If you're struggling through this pandemic, imagine going through it twice. Hester Ford of Charlotte, North Carolina can say she has. She turned 116 years old on Saturday, so that means she not only lived through the Spanish flu of 1918, but also the current COVID-19 crisis. She credits her long life to family and a strong faith in God, and yes, at 116, she's the oldest living American. Her grandkids are planning a giant drive-through celebration, and we'd like to say, happy birthday, Hester. John Saucier, Fox News.
Also new today, NASCAR is back at Daytona Sunday for a very interesting race on a road course at the famous speedway no one has ever driven before.
About ready to make history at the Daytona International Speedway road course, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin lead the field of 39. Green flags in the air.
Courtesy of NBC Sports, after this race, there's only 3 races left until the field is cut to 16 for the playoffs. I'm Mary Corsetti, and this is Fox News.
Well, it's the end of an era and the beginning of a new one.
Today, Pennington's black part of town moved across the river to North Pennington. The Thompson family sold their home on the east side and moved to the old Kirkland Place at 17 Mansfield Place, establishing the all-new black neighborhood. Northside residents are looking forward to the infusion of fun and funk that the new black part of town is sure to bring to their area. Mayor Mitzi Kranowitz presided over the dedication of the new black neighborhood, unveiling a sign designating it a landmark district.
It's lovely, everyone. Pennington's diversity is its strength, whether it's Little Harlem or the so-called Gayborhood where Paul and his partner Bryant have that cottage.
Sheriff Stevens today announced that the heavy round-the-clock patrols that helped make the old Thompson house one of the safest neighborhoods in town will move with them.
This has nothing to do with the black part of town moving here. We just want to make sure that everyone here has a comfortable place to live.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
That's right, it is Free Talk Live, and you are free to call in and talk live here on the airwaves, because that's what we do here on Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
Peekless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
The number, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. And while we're waiting for your call, we're going to talk about some other things. Now, I got to say, you know, there are some topics that I would love to never talk about.
But yet here we are.
And here we are. And mostly those topics have to do with what we're calling these days identity politics or grievance politics, right? People who are part of a group, and that group has identified ways that it has been mistreated throughout history by another group. That other group appears to always be me because I am a white guy, right? Or at least that's what you'd think if you looked at me. I have decided that if we get to a
cisgendered, white-presenting male, I'm not sure if you'd add presenting to that.
Yep, heterosexual.
Well, you who presents heterosexual.
He presents heterosexual, all those things, right? So I like the presenting part because, that's the truth, is right. Like if you look at me, you're going to say, it's a white guy.
I don't know. You might be part Genghis Khan.
I am. I've got some rapey Mongol in my past. I don't know whether it's the actual Genghis or not, but
you might be African with a skin condition. I don't know for sure.
Right, any of these things. But let me get right into the story. But I'll tell you what, there's a few landmines in it, ladies and gentlemen. So give me a little minute to get into it. Black Lives Matter activists in Seattle are demanding homeowners willingly give up their property to black people as a form of reparations because they're coming for it one way or the other. Footage of new demands was live-streamed Wednesday by Concrete Reporting via the Periscope app and quickly spread across social media. Give up your house, explained one of dozens of activists marching through a neighborhood. Give black people back their homes. You're sitting there comfortably. Comfortable as F. As if, now, interesting in today's world, like the F word, which is as common as it could be in most people's lives, is sort of blanked out, even though this is news, right? This is a quote.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever, we're not going to say that on the air because there might be somewhere an 11-year-old boy huddled under his covers before bed, listening to a transistor radio.
I'm certain that he has no availability of ever hearing or reading that kind of language.
If my 10-year-old was watching FTL, honestly, curse words would not be my biggest concern.
Yeah. As if
not everything is for kids.
Yeah. Something about we're back at the quote here. Excuse me. Comfortable as F, as if they didn't help gentrify this neighborhood. I used to live in this neighborhood and my family was pushed out, and you're sitting up there having a good time with your other white friends. All right.
Just a quick comment on gentrification of neighborhoods. I'm trying to figure out if this is a good thing or a bad thing, because gentrifying a neighborhood is bad, but white flight is also bad.
Well, yeah, but you're just bad is the thing.
Also, the complaint with gentrification usually is not from property owners. It's from people who are renters, who the rent goes up, and it's like, well, we can't afford to live in the neighborhood we used to live in, which, that's one of the hazards of being a renter. There's advantages and disadvantages to both of these things, renting and owning. And by the way, when I say owning, I mean allowing the bank and the government, being allowed to live in the bank and the government's house, because you don't really own anything. But nonetheless, when it comes to gentrification, on one hand, you could own, say, a building of some sort in a neighborhood that begins to gentrify and the property value goes up, so to the point that the property taxes are now so high that you can't afford to keep the building because you don't want to get rid of your other renters. But ultimately, it really still comes down to a renter's problem, because then you sell the building to somebody who doesn't mind getting rid of those renters for somebody else.
Well, no, it could still be. So if you live somewhere and the property tax is $2,000 a month based on the values, and then the assessor comes in accurately or inaccurately and says, oh, well, this house you bought for $100,000 is now we're declaring that it's worth $3 million, and so now your property taxes are $20,000 a year. That's still a problem for you, even if you own your house outright. If your house actually is worth $3 million, but you want to continue to live in it, maybe a whole lot of people aren't going to feel sorry for you, but I still kind of think they're wrong, because that you can still be pushed out by property taxes.
Yes.
And you would have a valid complaint there still, but your complaint is with the state, not with random people who live in this neighborhood.
Right. So this is another thing, just sort of pointing and saying, why did you make my life so bad, when these people are like, I don't even know you. Another clip from the event circulating on Twitter features a man saying, we're coming for it. Reparation time. The march continues months after of Antifa and BLM protests, looting, and riots since May the 25th, death of George Floyd. Mediocrity with a megaphone. Petulance on parade, tweeted Benjamin Boyce Thursday morning prior to an op-ed by the conservative blog Hot Air. We're not quite to the French Revolution stage of dragging people out of their homes yet, But we seem to be inching closer, observed John Sexton. I wonder if this will catch on. The left is already comfortable going into suburban neighborhoods for protests and vandalism of elected officials' homes. Singling out strangers seems like the next step. And it's worth noting that this isn't just harassment, it's explicitly racial harassment. Mr. Sexton noted that the group also took its gentrification grievances to King County Council member, whatever the person's name is. So
I thought they were going to stop showing up on like actual people's lawns when that guy and his wife showed up with an AR and a pistol.
Yeah, but then those people backed down and apologized, which they're not going to get anything
and then they got
for,
charged.
by the way. Oh, they got charged?
They got charged.
With what?
Being white with a gun, I guess, on your front lawn. I mean, criminal threatening probably. I need to look it up. Yeah. I'd need to look it up, in this situation. But I mean,
so is this reparations for being charged with blackwall driving?
Perhaps.
Which is it? But again, you need to. Every legitimate problem you have, and every problem that's come up so far is directly caused by the state. So that's something you need to take up with the cops.
Right. All right. So as I said, I would prefer to never talk about race. But it appears as though that's the topic du jour. And besides, I'm going to put aside the conspiracy theory that whatever the hell's going on here is intended to hand this election to Trump on a silver platter. I'm going to put that conspiracy theory aside, and I'm going to address the issues as they're laid out here. Because
before we dive into this, I just wanted to point out that I think that this is an echo of what happened in the 60s. So you had a legitimate grievance by a large group of people. You had them gathering and expressing themselves and acting on the fact that they had a legitimate grievance. In that case, it was being drafted to go to war, which is violent slavery. I mean, that's just literally what that is.
And a variety of things. I mean, in the 60s wasn't exactly a great time to be black either. The early 60s especially.
And that was kind of the problem eventually, though, is like for a long time you had this immense momentum toward ending the war. And a lot of that sort of got dispersed when you started focusing on not just the war, but also the sexism problem and the racism problem and the capitalism problem and all of these other things, instead of having a good focus. Like today it would be a good focus to be on, okay, are the police doing what they're supposed to?
And I would agree with you. And this is the issue, is when there's a legitimate grievance, and that legitimate grievance is big enough and ignored long enough, then what it tends to devolve into is a bunch of angry people destroying things. And I'm not just talking about America today. I'm talking about throughout human history. So this is one of the ways that the problems are brought to light. And I mean, look, we don't look back at the American Revolution and say, my God, I can't believe our ancestors fought and killed their government. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it here on Free Talk Live. News from news.bitcoin.com. Chinese banks limit customers' ability to buy gold. Chinese flooding and potential dam collapse threatens many Bitcoin operations. Withdrawals from crypto exchanges increase, indicating perhaps more people are holding their coin for themselves. Tentative agreement met to stabilize Bitcoin Cash mining in conjunction with the currency's third birthday. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Divi's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to diviproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from diviproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. diviproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
Pork Chop, his coat is very thick. He's an Akita, German Shepherd, Lab, Husky mix. Harold, the Border Collie Pit mix, has the most beautiful jet black coat. Stuart, my rat terrier, has fur now where he never had it before.
DINOVITE.com.
Dinovite will give them a beautiful, lustrous coat. It will make you smile.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Negotiation isn't just something union leaders and sports agents do. Your entire day is a series of negotiations. If you have young children, you know that. In fact, your kids can teach you a lot about negotiating with grown-ups. According to the world's greatest negotiator, Herb Cohen, author of You Can Negotiate Anything. Herb says that kids understand the process of decision-making within an organization. When one parent says no, they'll ask the other. And Cohen says children persist and persevere. And like smart negotiators of all ages, kids know that no is an opening bargaining position. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever is on your mind. That's what we do here on Free Talk Live, and that's why we call it Free Talk Live. Talk about a story here from the Washington Times about protesters out there in, well, you know, Washington, Oregon area, who are now going out into the suburbs and asking, apparently, people to give up their homes.
I don't know if that counts as asking. There's like demanding and there's asking, and this is a little bit more aggressive than asking. It's not quite taking.
Not quite. Well, one thing they can't take from you is your Bitcoin. It's unconfiscatable, or at least it's unconfiscatable from a computer hacking sense. If you go to bitcoin.com, you'll find out all about cryptocurrencies, and you probably should know about them because they appear to be on a run again. I don't know. That's just me looking from sitting here. You never know if it was a run until after it was a run. But here we go. Go to bitcoin.com. Check out their getting started section right there. You can get a wallet. You can buy cryptocurrency. You can mine cryptocurrency. You can get the latest news at news.bitcoin.com. It's bitcoin.com. Let's go to the phones. We have on the Discord line Zephin calling from California. Zephin, you there?
Yes.
Thanks for the call. So, what's on your mind?
So I know at this point how the libertarian movement or the minarchist movement as a whole feels about using cryptocurrency as a form of alternative currency. However, I also think that silver and gold would be a good medium of exchange, and I found really good silver rounds online that have "Don't Tread on Me" on them, and the premium is really low. So my question is, would that be something that you believe that the libertarian or minarchist movement would be interesting in using as an alternative to fiat currency or even cryptocurrency?
My short answer is no. I like silver and I like gold, and I like the idea of a silver round. Was this a 1 ounce or some other denomination?
Yeah, it would be a 1 ounce.
Troy ounce, yep. So it's a 1 troy ounce, and how much is that worth?
Well,
about $30 right now.
Really?
Yeah, it costs about $31, but the premium is $4.99. So essentially, it's $4.99 above the current market price for silver. So to actually make the coin, it's about $5 more, which is one of the lowest premiums that I've been able to find so far
on silver.
Yeah.
Whereas the transaction cost on Bitcoin Cash is fractions of a penny. So I can say go to the store and buy a hamburger. I can do that literally in Keene, New Hampshire, and I can pay 1/2 of a cent or less than 1/2 a cent to purchase that hamburger as far as transaction cost goes. Whereas with silver, I would have to buy 3 hamburgers, and then I would lose $5 in the premium unless I can convince the store owner to take the silver above spot, which is always a long and complicated conversation. Now,
they have copper denominations as well.
They have what?
So
different denominations.
They have copper as well. So like if you wanted to buy something cheap, like a burger, the copper rounds are about $2 each. So say if the burger was $5, then you could give them, 2 or 3. So you don't have to. And the silver round is pretty much just like a higher denomination essentially.
Sure. Hey, right. So you could have some copper rounds and carry these around in your pocket, and that's it. It's all fine and dandy. I'll tell you this: I had a farm for about 10 years here in New Hampshire, and I always needed help on the farm because that's the nature of farms. And I would be willing to pay people every time I offered. I can pay you in gold, I can pay you in silver, I can pay you in U.S. dollars. And they always took. These are libertarians. I don't think I employed anybody on that farm that wouldn't have identified as a libertarian at the moment that I did it. And every single time they turned it down. I did give gold coins as gifts to some guys that helped me build the house. Each one of them got I think it was a sovereign or a franc or something like that. But they got paid their hourly wage in U.S. dollars and then got a gold coin, which they may very well still have, because that's kind of the nature of gold and silver is not as a store of value, but not as a medium of exchange. And I'm not saying it wasn't at one point. It certainly was. But I'm telling you, as a guy who supported metals for a very long time before Bitcoin came along, here on Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live's been on the air since 2002. We didn't talk about Bitcoin until 2011, 2010. So, years in between there. And it just doesn't seem to work.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one.
Okay, go ahead.
So when I was at PorkFest, I definitely exchanged my massage services for silver rounds. And it is definitely a niche market. You're going to find fewer people that have that and fewer people that want to accept that in exchange for their goods and services. But what you're looking at there is, there is the problem of you have to physically be next to the person.
Yeah, you can't shove silver coins in the side of a
But with
computer
crypto,
vents.
you need to have internet access, which can be a problem in some rural parts of New Hampshire.
Yep. Right. So, you're looking for people that want to. The reason I traded for silver is because I like to not keep my eggs all in one basket.
Sure.
I don't think the internet's going to go down anytime soon, but it might.
I would not be one to say, please don't exchange your goods and services for metals. I'm just the guy who had boxes of mercury dimes trying to get people to take them in exchange for labor, and I couldn't get anybody. And so that's my opinion is hard one.
Well, a big thing that you have to look at now, though, is that this is a different circumstance in regard to the faith that we have in the U.S. dollar. I mean, at the time, I'm pretty sure that we had rather solid faith that the dollars were going to be worth about the same. Whereas right now, I mean, they're pumping trillions and trillions of dollars into a market where like a third of our goods and services are being produced. So like there is a lot less faith.
I've seen a half a dozen stories questioning the viability of the United States U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, so that is a fundamentally new situation, and I think that your attempt to pay in silver and gold is going to be a little different because of that.
And we kind of have this default position where we think that there's going to be a currency that wins, and every country, superpowers are like that. Every country isn't even like that, where there's a state currency and that's the only thing you use. There could be Bitcoin for some purposes and Ethereum for other, or Monero for other purposes, and silver for other purposes. It's not which one is going to be the currency. I mean, they can all be a currency, and maybe for different uses and maybe for the same use.
Zephan, do you have anything else on this topic?
I guess I would just conclude by saying that I'm really worried about the national debt and all of the inflation, and cryptocurrency is just so new that I wouldn't...
I too am. Free Talk Live.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils plus a hint of menthol was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
Now, you also said in another video that the moon is an iPod. Can you explain that one?
I believe the moon, the reason why it turns the color that it does is because it fills up with the humidity and water from the transmission of electrons or electricity. I believe that we're upside down being pulled by magnets right now. The actual ocean is in the sky, and they're reserving that sky. The reason we have thunder and lightning is because of the shock waves that go through the two skies up above. Otherwise, where's the thunder and lightning going to come? Because there's no way the clouds are that thick, or the planes wouldn't be able to go through it.
Have
it wouldn't
you
make
ever
any
been
sense.
abducted by aliens?
No. Wait a second. Hold on a second. I think so. 45 minutes every single night.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
The political world is a maddening cesspool of corruption and lies. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody keeps campaign promises. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Nobody puts the people first. How can we ever escape this web of tyranny? Vote for nobody.
Hi, my name is Nobody. I'm running for governor of New Hampshire because nobody knows how to live your life better than you do, and nobody deserves that kind of power. I want to put you back in control of your money, your lifestyle, your work, your body, and your life. Nobody should rule you but you. New Hampshire convicts many people of so-called crimes that should never have been prosecuted. If elected, I will pardon every victimless crime in New Hampshire history. This includes drug, gambling, prostitution, gun, and driving offenses. Nobody should have a criminal record when they have not harmed anybody.
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody telling you what to do? Learn more at electnobody.com. electnobody.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Call in. Talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
Peekless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE as in freedom. Just got finished talking about the possibility of returning to a gold and silver sort of monetary system and the, what the advantages and disadvantages of that might be. And you can call.
Feels like I'm entering the world of Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so our lowest currency, that's our copper coins, and then we've got silver and then gold.
Yeah. And then it went up from there with like rubies and like different things. I don't know. It gets complicated. Exactly how much is this worth? I don't know.
I don't really know how to negotiate for rubies, but if you want to pay in them, sure.
I know Minecraft uses emeralds.
There you go.
So anyway, you can talk about that or what we were talking about when we started the show, which is this article from the Washington Times. Appears to be that some of the Black Lives Matter movement people are looking for reparations. I like this quote here. We're not quite to the French Revolution stage of dragging people out of their homes yet and chopping their heads off, but we seem to be inching closer, observed writer John Sexton. Going on here, this is I say the land transfer stuff is really important. Mr. Zalahay said Wednesday one of the pieces of the, let's say, city council person in King County, which I guess is where Seattle is. One of the pieces of the Black Lives Matter demands is economic justice for black people, for indigenous people. There should be a comma there. That needs to look like land transfer, in my opinion, because land is wealth. Land gets you the facilities and the buildings that you need to take care of one another. And then we have a bunch of tweets here that sort of prove these things occurred, and that's the article.
I find it interesting that the use of the word justice there never has anything to do with like due process or a court or actually finding out who did something wrong and who's owed from that wrongdoing.
Right. Well, what this sort of justice looks like is let's find out who has money today, and let's figure out why they should give it to us. And it has nothing to do, really. It's couched in sort of historical grievances. And by the way, slavery, a terrible, black slavery in America, a terrible grievance, terrible thing that was happened. But lots of bad things have happened throughout history. And one wonders where this all sort of starts and ends. So first off, they're talking about indigenous people. And, are we going to give all the land back that at one point, belonged to an indigenous person? I mean, do we have to have documentation for the land? What if there is documentation? As I understand, there is for Pennsylvania. There's a variety of sort of interesting questions here. Because Manhattan was sold for a very low price at one point and is now worth a great deal, does that mean that something more is owed? I don't know.
Well, Manhattan's been gentrified, that's for sure.
It certainly has.
I don't see a lot of complaints about it, but...
And the complaint is, I played the game, I lost, now I don't like the game that I played. It's like, well, it's not... They kind of have this mythology that the Europeans came over here and happened upon a peaceful ANCAP society of Indians who were all living through trade and peace, and then we just...
ANCOM. An anarcho-communist society of Indians, thank you very much, living in peace and harmony and rainbows.
And then we just stabbed them all to death to take their land. And that's not what happened. There was this game everyone was playing called Kill Everyone Else.
War, yeah.
And not Europe, but Europeans won.
Well,
you can't retroactively be like, well, I don't want to play. Like, well, too late.
It's a nasty game with a nasty set of rules, but what the Europeans would come and find out, well, okay, who do you hate? Oh, you hate them? Well, excellent. How about some of these fire sticks to handle them? And then when, they sent some men and some weapons against whomever it was that they hated, wiped them out. In many cases, the East Coast Indian tribes, these people are heavily mixed with Europeans. One might wonder why. And then once their enemies are wiped out, now we have the Europeans developed grievances with these people. And that's how this whole little game goes, and it's gone that way for a long time.
There are a number of historians that have pointed out that if the tribes had unified against the people coming over, they would have absolutely wiped them out.
Tecumseh tried that, and if there had been more unity or had been done sooner, that's true. Vercingetorix tried it against Rome, I'll point out, with the Gauls, and he didn't quite make it either. He did make Caesar rather famous, though.
But you can't be a violent government, which is what the tribes were to some extent, not as organized as some other forms of government, and then complain about the fact that violent governments exist. It's like either we're doing the violent government warfare thing or we're not. And I prefer not, but if we are, we can't pick apart every war. Okay, well, this country was the aggressor and this country was absolutely the victim. That's not how this works.
So I do want to talk about reparations as a concept, but first I want to go to Mark calling in from Georgia. Mark, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, how you doing?
All's well. What's on your mind?
Long time. It's been a long time. I listened to you guys like 15 years ago, and at the time I lived in Vegas, and I remember calling in about then, and I listened to you guys on the internet, and I've been living near Atlanta for about a dozen years, and I recently relocated to northwestern part of Georgia. I'm real close to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I was very pleasantly surprised. I'm going down the road on my way home here, and on AM 1150. And I'm not even sure. I didn't hear like where the station is located. I just heard your program here, so I'm not even sure because we'll get stations from Kentucky, from Tennessee, from Alabama, from Ohio. The AM 1150 in the northwestern part of Georgia, and you guys were coming in clear, so that was cool. So I got to call in.
Cool, Mark. I appreciate the call. Hey. I tell you this. We did make a living out of this. Ian still calls radio stations. He would probably know off the top of his head who AM 1150 is, but anybody can go to affiliates.freetalklive.com. That's affiliates.freetalklive.com and look at the nearly 200 radio stations that Free Talk Live has and find it. You can sort it by state or how long they've been on the air with us or a whole variety of other things when they're on the air, and you can find the stations that are close to you. But everybody can always go get the show at freetalklive.com.
Yeah, and so that's so cool. And then what's even more cool is as I'm driving down the road and I hear some caller call in and you guys talking about gold and silver bullion. And in fact, I didn't even realize I was listening to Free Talk Live. At first, I'm just going through the stations. I end up on 1150 and I'm like, man, this host is talking about gold and silver bullion. I'm like, it's so wild because, I was just coming from, I'll say Walmart, okay? I was in there talking to an employee and I was saying, probably the most scandalous thing about the whole coronavirus is the way that the government has drawn a nexus between its monetary policy and, or the Federal Reserve, has drawn a nexus between its monetary policy and the coronavirus, using the whole coronavirus as the pretext to balloon its balance sheet, as though they're going to save us from the coronavirus. And I said, the sad part is, and this is just before I get in my car and I hear you guys talking about gold and silver bullion, and I'm explaining to this guy, I'm saying, the really sad part is we're probably going to end up with a serious currency crisis, and they're going to blame it all on the coronavirus. rather than their own.
Let me ask you this, Mark.
Policy.
So it sounds like you've spent a little time thinking about this. We got 1 minute.
I'm a Rothbard. Murray Rothbard. Man.
Yeah,
my guy.
Google Rothbard. Always a good thing to do. What currency is going to take over for the U.S. currency in the absence of the U.S. dollar being the world reserve currency? Go.
Gold and silver.
You think it'll be gold and silver?
Yeah, and here's the thing, and this is what I wanted to address too. I understand. I think that last caller was onto something. In fact, the funny thing is, I would always tell people to, go for rounds, silver rounds, because you want to get as close to the spot as possible. Because what's really sad is some people, they'll call these bullion dealers and they'll try to sell numismatics. And I always say, unless you're a coin collector, you go for the rounds. You want to get as close to the spot as possible. And
that's exactly right, because bullion is just the metal. The numismatics, those are collectible coins. If you're a coin collector, great. If you're not, what do you want that for? Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. Thanks for the call.
Are you afraid to go to the mailbox because of letter after letter from the IRS? Are they stacking on more and more penalties and interest? By now, you know the problem won't go away on its own. Don't let the IRS chase you to your grave with penalties and interest and liens and levies. You need real help now. I'm Dan Pilla. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I help thousands of people solve tax problems they thought couldn't be solved. I can help you too. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com. danpilla.com.
Are you a business owner that needs a large supply of face masks?
Do you have a large family and need a large supply of face masks?
And want high quality but not high prices? Then you want sunny-bay.com.
Our face masks are a better quality than Costco and lower price than Amazon.
There's none better than sunny-bay.com.
See for yourself. Go to sunny-bay.com and place your order today.
Again, business owners, large families, and anyone who needs a large supply of quality disposable face masks. Click sunny-bay.com.
Be sure and look for our volume discounts.
Our high-quality cloth face masks are handmade in the USA.
We also have N95 masks.
See our quality, get details, and order at sunny-bay.com, a Biomed DB design company.
Remember, volume discounts for large quantities at sunny-bay.com.
Just click sunny-bay.com.
Have you ever thought about turning your Glock, XD Family, or 1911 handgun into a semi-automatic carbine? It only takes about 30 seconds. The MacTech Carbine Upper is classified as an accessory and can be delivered right to your doorstep with no FFL or background check required. It's the world's most versatile pistol accessory. Build your custom upper today. Simply go to handgunconversion.com. That's handgunconversion.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone? You forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection. You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE here on Free Talk Live. You can call in and talk about whatever you want to talk about. But we've been talking about this Washington Times article that apparently Black Lives Matter crowds has been wandering through Seattle sort of neighborhoods and demanding that people give up their property and bemoaning gentrification and that they used to live in this neighborhood and now they can't live in that neighborhood or whatever the situation might be. My favorite quote is we're not quite to the French Revolution stage of dragging people out of their homes, but we seem to be inching closer.
And that is a very terrifying three-letter word right there.
Yeah, it is. So so reparations has been brought up here, and I think it's worth talking about. And that's what people want to do, right? People want to talk about reparations. Let's talk about reparations. I have to say that I will generally take a pro-reparations stance. The thing is, the devil is in the details. You can just say reparations and whatever that might mean to whomever, but there's a lot of complications to all of this.
Sure are.
So, right. I mean, it all comes down to the negotiations because, if the price is low enough, sure, here's your check, get out of here. The thing will be over. I personally think that during this economic downturn, during the COVID thing, should have sent out a bunch of reparations checks, says this is the reparations, here you go, goodbye. And that would have been handled that. And
if they're printing this all off anyway.
Right. They're printing money up, and that's what they're going to do. So let's start with the, first principles. If a person commits a crime, then they should make good, right? Yeah. Fair?
Yeah.
All right.
Aggression, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If you coerce labor out of someone, then you owe them for their labor.
Right. So if you
owe a little bit more than that. You do that.
There is that too.
You enslave somebody, you make them work, you do these things, then okay. And that's without being a government and without that person having committed a crime.
If an individual does that to an individual, that's what we do. We go to court, we find out the facts of this matter, and we figure out, okay, here's how much you owe them.
If I'm arbitrator in Ancapistan and you enslave someone, I am doing whatever they ask for to you.
So it could be anything. It could be hanging.
It could be, I want a kidney. I don't care.
Okay. So we've got that laid out on the table that, the fact is, though, that all the slave owners and all the slaves, pretty much, I mean, there might be some odd cases out there, but pretty much all the slave owners and all the slaves are dead. So now you have heirs to slave owners and slaves. All right, well, that's complicated. And I kind of am of the opinion that at some point or another, a grievance just has to slide into the ether. Right? Like, I don't go around having been, European by, I'm Irish, right? So I don't go around demanding that the English stroke me a check. But the Irish and the English haven't gotten along for a very long time.
4,000 years ago, your ancestor was a baron and they made me work as a serf. I demand reparations.
That kind of thing. So at some point, things have to slide into the background. But we do have one organization that has been around since slavery was a thing here on this continent. And that organization is the United States government. The, 1789.
And given that they were the ones that enforced all of the slavery.
Right.
Even in states that didn't want it.
So then you had 11 years of importation of slaves.
Okay, so let's give all federal lands to the descendants of slaves.
I think that's a place to start. And remember, they did ask for land here. Now,
The
you'll
feds
find
got a lot of it.
the feds have a great deal of land, especially out west. So, and Sherman, Tecumseh Sherman, he that burned Atlanta, may he burn in hell for eternity. He promised 40 acres and a mule, and then reneged on that promise. By the way, the guy hated black people, and no hero to them, I can assure you. And Yankees that extol him really just don't understand history. They just want to, make Southerners angry.
Well, what a wonderful person, intentionally bombing women and children and civilians, knowing that it was them specifically. Great guy.
I can't remember how they set the fires in Atlanta, but they certainly did it on purpose. So the basically there's this offer of land is in play, and I think that's certainly a possibility. And if the United States is responsible, and I think that you could make the argument that certain states are responsible too, that states that existed and had slavery was legal, that maybe they would be responsible. But let's just talk about the feds right now, since we're all under the feds and not everybody's in Maryland or wherever. It's so reparations. What does it mean, and who gets it? Well, of course, there's the diluted blood issue. But blood could be diluted while still under slavery, right?
They a lot of the time would rape the female slaves and enslave essentially their own kids. So you could still be part white and of that lineage while still being enslaved when you were alive at the time. That's not...
Brings up a lot of details. Okay, well, you are 42% slave owner and 37% slave.
But enslaved.
So...
Right, and that's the thing.
If I could just divest the feds of the lands, we can divide it up.
No, That seems like a really good middle point for me. They were the ones that enforced all of the slavery. They were the ones that enforced all of the slave catchers that would rope you into it, whether you like it or not. They were okay. Well,
and isn't this what we do with
this
highly
organization perpetrated these crimes? They should pay.
Isn't this what we do with criminal organizations? And that is a literal phrase in law. You dissolve them and divest their assets for their liabilities. So we should take all of the federal property and all of the property of some states. And the feds have other victims, but I'm more interested in getting the feds to not have the property than I am in who gets it.
Right. So I would say this. First off, the federal government was in place for a reason. I get that we're a long way from that reason. That reason was to, have a standing army, weights and measures, interstate disputes, and post roads, right? I think we can do away with post offices. Apparently that'll function on its own.
I'm entirely certain that all of those functions can be performed voluntarily.
I think you could probably, but I can see why they would want an organization for dispute. I don't know about a voluntary military. Voluntary and violence don't tend to go together real well. But anyway, I'm not. I think that if we're talking
security.
if we're talking about reparations, to put the agenda on the libertarian agenda, let's just dissolve the federal government on the table at the same time, is somewhat disingenuous. But I would say that sure, there's some amount of land that could be peeled off. Let's not forget, some of this land's awful. It's completely unusable for farming.
Well, is it awful because it's inherently awful, or is it I don't know how you can have completely awful land unless it glows in the dark. Even if it's not good for farming, you can build houses on it, right? You
Death Valley. Okay, so it's something like 75% of Nevada, I think, is owned by the federal government.
Yeah, it's huge numbers.
Well, they do nuke experiments in Nevada, though. So I'm saying, outside of land that glows in the dark, it's good for something. Well, and it's probably good for living in.
What do you think? How many acres are we talking about here? Would you sort of put a rating on how farmable the land is, and then, depending on that rating, be based on how many acres they would get? So perhaps 40 farmable acres for anybody who could prove 42% enslaved black person heritage. I don't know. I'm just coming up with numbers here. This is what I'm saying is there's a lot of complications. You don't know what percentage to talk about because it gets complicated. I mean, a person could have been enslaved in 1863 and only been 42% black at the time. So they're 100% a slave, but only 42% black.
Well, if you think it's disingenuous to put the libertarian platform into this discussion, okay, well, to be more ingenuous, an individual is capable of criminal acts, not an organization.
Well, so I get it, but we live in a world where
and
people
certainly
think
not a race.
I'm well, certainly not a race. There's no way to even, my ancestors were in Germany and Ireland and, a variety of places hadn't even come over here. So, then again, I had ancestors who were here too. So that's one of the complications of all of this. The number, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450, free as in freedom, here on Free Talk Live.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you get the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
An emergency meeting. Fox News, I'm Mary Corsetti. The Democratic-run House is demanding that leaders of the U.S. Postal Service testify at an emergency oversight hearing August 24th on mail delays. It comes as critics claim the White House is trying to undermine the agency during the coronavirus pandemic as states expand mail-in voting options for the election. The Democrats want to hear from new Postmaster General Louis DeJoy, who they claim has acted to cut overtime for postal workers and reduce the use of mail processing equipment. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
I spent almost 2 hours with him, and I can tell you, Mr. DeJoy, he said, I'm doing what I want, in so many words.
Trump senior advisor Steve Cortez fires back on Fox News Sunday.
There is no amount of money that could get the United States Postal Service ready for a universal vote by mail.
This as presumptive vice presidential nominee Senator Kamala Harris talking with the Griot about what she expects from the Trump administration as Election Day inches closer.
They're going to engage in lies. They're going to engage in deception. They're going to engage in an attempt
attempt to distract from the real issues that are impacting the American people. And I expect that they will engage in dirty tactics, and this is going to be a knockdown, drag-out.
Trump campaign senior advisor Jason Miller said polls showing former Vice President Joe Biden ahead of President Trump in a number of surveys are wrong, just as they were when polls showed Hillary Clinton ahead of Trump in 2016.
Media pollsters have not corrected their models since 2016. In the same way that they undercounted Trump voters and they missed so much, nothing fundamentally has changed.
The Democratic National Convention kicks off tomorrow. Bringing you to a developing story now, multiple police officers have been shot while responding to a call at a home in Cedar Park, Texas. The suspect barricaded inside the home following the shots, and multiple law enforcement agencies are on the scene. Cedar Park Police has pleaded with residents to stay inside their homes during this situation. America is listening to Fox News.
Who knew that the same company that made the twist ties around your loaf of bread also made the face shield delivered to your front door? Packaging solutions provider Bedford Industries stepped up in a big way during the pandemic with help from NetSuite, the world's #1 cloud business system. Here's Bedford's president, Jay Milbrandt.
At Bedford, we saw an opportunity to retool our products to create face shields. Thanks to the visibility and control NetSuite provides, we had the agility to change our business overnight. In no time, NetSuite helped us launch our first e-commerce site and handled crucial details from licensing to order tracking. Now we're taking orders from around the world 24/7. We couldn't have done it without NetSuite.
NetSuite by Oracle gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place. They surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of top strategies they're using as America reopens for business. Receive your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now, and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
Wildfires continuing to lay waste to many parts of California this weekend, with thousands of acres of land scorched in the flames.
Preventing heat-related deaths and stopping these raging wildfires are major concerns right now as this intense heat continues to blanket the region. Dry lightning storms, which are very unusual for the Bay Area, are making the dangerous fire conditions in Northern California worse. It is so incredibly hot that the heat is evaporating the rain before it even hits the ground. So what we end up seeing out of these thunderstorms is dry lightning. New fires have started since last night, most likely from the lightning, like the wildfire now burning in the Diablo Range of Santa Clara County. Mandatory evacuations are now in place for the rapidly spreading Loyalton fire. The National Weather Service issued a rare fire tornado or firenado warning for the Loyalton fire.
Fox's Christina Coleman. Meanwhile, President Trump and the Democrats are looking to make a splash in Wisconsin this week. Fox's Mike Tobin has the details.
Even Wisconsin Republicans are disappointed that the Democrats largely won't be coming to town because they're expected to spend about $200 million. But with the number of attendees expected at first to be around $50,000, when it all washes out, the numbers will be in the hundreds. The vice presidential and presidential nominees will be giving their speeches remotely, as will most of the speakers. So gone are the big confetti and balloon drops. The excitement of the delegate vote is replaced by what is being called the roll call across America. And as Democrats and Republicans take a different approach to virus prevention, even the ground game, which usually intensifies after the convention, is changed. Now, on Monday, when Democrats largely don't come to Wisconsin, President Trump will. He's holding a rally in Oshkosh. His son Eric comes to Wisconsin the next day, and the Vice President Pence comes a day after that.
President Trump is also holding a rally in Scranton, Pennsylvania on Thursday, the birthplace of presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. I'm Mary Corsetti, and this is Fox News.
A new medical study on the effects of marijuana use confirms that everyone knows you're high and that you'll never stop feeling like this.
Everyone can smell the marijuana on your breath and on your clothes. Everyone is laughing at you.
Additionally, the in-depth report reveals that despite trying to act cool, you're definitely laughing too much and everyone is messing with you.
Your parents know you're high, your friends know you're high, strangers on the street know you're high. If you're young and you smoke marijuana, you will probably never be able to find a job. And if you're an adult, you will most likely be fired. If you hear a noise, that's probably the police, and you're probably going to jail.
While previous studies suggested that it's all good and that we're all made of the same stuff that makes stars, new research indicates that your brain got broken and you shouldn't have done this. Doctors say the study raises important questions such as, what if that wasn't just marijuana, and how are you going to get home?
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. You are free to call in and talk live here on the airwaves. It's Mark with you.
Peekless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
We walked into the minefield of reparations talk last hour on Free Talk Live, and you can still call in and talk about that, or gold and silver is money, or whatever you want, because that's what we do on Free Talk Live. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Mortified Penguin calling in on the Discord lines. Penguin, what's on your mind? Penguin, can you hear me now? Oh, I just heard a sort of artifact kind of noise.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
There we go.
Okay, that's weird. I had something plugged in. Anyways, I just tuned in, but I'm really glad to hear a little bit. Heard you talking about reparations and federal land and everything. I've caught about that exact topic before.
Great.
It's really cool. But I wanted to just kind of switch things up and talk about. I definitely firmly believe that there's a lot of people on the left that came from the burning place and others that they're looking for a home, that are disenchanted with the state and are need to come, and whether or not they're welcomed, they're in such numbers, they're coming to liberty, and they should be, you should reinforce positive behavior and welcome to liberty movement. But I want to go beyond that and say I think we need to welcome people from the right into the liberty movement. And you might say, well, it seems like there's a lot of people on the right already in the liberty movement.
That was my thought.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at here is, not the paleo conservatives, the social conservatives, the people that are sometimes questionably libertarian. I'm talking about people. There's a lot of people that really don't have a home on the right. They might cling to this nationalist movement, this direction the Republicans Party are going to, but both parties right now are running really conservative in the general sense, candidacies. But the Trumps are going away from the classical liberal free trade conservatism and the Tucker Carlson, all that stuff. That's where the Republican Party is going, and that's probably where the right really is. I'm not pushing this whole that's not real conservatism thing anymore, because that existed for a period of time before it didn't exist, and it won't exist in the future, because the Republicans are going probably where they belong politically and where their voter base is. So you've got these classical liberals, these free trade, free markets people. They're not anarchists, anarcho-libertarians. They're not voluntarists or anything, but they need a home, and they do understand the value of spontaneous order. And
so you're saying the Republicans are leaving behind the sort of free market, economically conservative people, right?
They're absolutely not. Yeah, they're absolutely not economically conservative or fiscally conservative at all. They're not.
You mean the Republicans are not fiscally conservative currently? Yeah, they're certainly not. They haven't acted fiscally conservative while they've been in office. Now, when they're not in office, they're fiscally conservative.
That's been their rhetoric anyway.
It's their rhetoric.
I mean, so I don't feel like it's the community's job to just accept everybody's rejects. I feel like it's the community's job to accept people that belong here, and I'm sure that some of them belong here and some of them don't. It kind of depends on what you're talking about specifically about the community. If I live in a town of 100,000 minarchists, that doesn't bother me. If I have an anarchist hangout and you're a minarchist and you're not what I call a questioning minarchist, then you don't belong there.
Well, I think the Republicans are going through an identity crisis right now. So, I mean, there are two things that I classically would consider very much associated with the Republican Party that just aren't as feasible as they used to be. So one of them is the sort of neocon warfare kind of thing, which is definitely how they still act, but that role is more and more being taken over by the Democratic Party. And there's also the sort of fundamentalist, very Christian, anti-gay marriage, anti-abortion side of it. And I think that part just sort of got destroyed when gay marriage was legalized. So I don't think they've really recovered from that. And I think that the Republican Party is kind of in the air as far as what their identity is now.
Well, yeah, I at one time, in the not too distant past, I sat on a bus with one of the senior like advisors to a senator, and he's a Democratic senator from the Northeast, and he said that, yeah, Republicans don't worry me because they've got a demographic problem. It's the libertarians that worry me. So
why did the libertarians worry him?
Because, fundamentally we disagree with the left on a whole bunch of issues, and, he understood
but there's
that.
like 5 of us.
He thinks apparently thinks it's growing.
Well, I hope he's right.
There's a natural inclination to freedom. It's not something that you have to be convinced of.
There's a natural inclination to freedom in some people, and I don't think it's very many people.
Yeah, and I want to clarify. I don't think the majority of these people that don't have a political home on the right are necessarily going to be suitably libertarian. I think that but I think those that have the interest and really go for that minimal government, which is mostly rhetoric, but the true believers of that, those viewpoints should be reinforced and taken to a logical conclusion, because there's a lot of good ideas that in classical liberalism and stuff, when taken to a logical conclusion, come out to liberty. And I think there's a small number of people, just like there's a subset of the people on the social democratic left that have real libertarian potential.
Yeah. So if someone is interested in anarchy, then I will absolutely talk to them as long as they will let me. If someone is interested in anarchy or actual libertarianism, which is called anarchy, then I will. They can come into
a weird term
into the community. But the fact that the GOP is falling apart, that's not my problem.
Yeah, there are some terms that are just, I think they're broken terms, and anarchy is honestly one of them. Anarchy, capitalism,
libertarian
communism
means too many different things.
Agreed. It does mean quite a few different things. You could use the term voluntarist, although doesn't mean much to many people. It gets complicated. I would agree.
I like the term volitionist personally.
What's that?
Volitionist.
Volitionist. I like that.
It's a little shorter than voluntarist, and kind of has the sound of abolitionist, which is ultimately what we are. I mean, we are saying we need 100% abolition of slavery. There is a limited kind of slavery that is very similar to serfdom, that the government owns the people, which is why they say, here's how much of your stuff you have to give us, or else.
Yeah.
And the government owns the property. Ultimately, the ultimate owner of the property, too, which is also a problem.
Yeah, the government claims to own pretty much all the land and a portion of your labor, which makes them a pretty powerful organization.
And it's whatever portion they decide in the moment.
Yeah, I think that, what we should do as a movement is always an interesting conversation, but ultimately a pointless one, because we as a movement, the movement of the group of individualists is very bad at grouping and very good at individualing. And, to get us to do a thing is very difficult. I mean, somebody created the idea of moving, all right, what if we moved the libertarians to one state? What would happen? Here we are close to 20 years later, and the answer is some stuff, but not a lot. And, it's because people have their lives and they do they do their different things.
Well, I'll tell you, this individual is certainly welcoming to a lot of the people on the right, because if you look at the issues that they have recently been fighting, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of nationalism, but it's better than globalism. One of the victories that they had recently was I don't want to be forced to pay for someone else's abortion pill. Well, I don't want you to be forced to pay for that either, and it has nothing to do with my perspective on abortion.
Right.
Yeah, but for them, I think it does have to do something with their perspective on abortion, and I don't think that I don't want to go into that, but it's just a matter of principle. I mean, I don't think the nationalism is a terrible thing, and I think what people tend to call globalism on the right is a terrible thing, and there's a lot of refugees from that, and I
think we've got to teach these folks the ideas of liberty is what we got to do. Free Talk Live.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Chinese banks limit customers' ability to buy gold. Chinese flooding and potential dam collapse threatens many Bitcoin operations. Withdrawals from crypto exchanges increase, indicating perhaps more people are holding their coin for themselves. Tentative agreement met to stabilize Bitcoin Cash mining in conjunction with the currency's third birthday. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Divi's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to diviproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from diviproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. diviproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils, plus a hint of menthol, was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into their rally.
Walk with me.
Well,
I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, Hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait on the counter. Now. Wait a minute. Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever is on your mind. Mark with you.
Peekless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Call in and talk about whatever you want to talk about, because that's what we do here on Free Talk Live. So, we were recently just talking about reparations and the Liberty Movement and gold and silver, but we shall move on.
And you can call in about any of those topics or anything else, because that's what we do here on Free Talk Live. We open up the phone lines so that you can call in. Apparently, there is a new condition, Peekless Mountaineer, called mask mouth.
Mask mouth.
I can only guess what mask mouth might be, but I know we weren't evolved to have a flap of fabric in front of our faces.
Funny that if masks were actually good for us, we probably would have them. But I guess if man was meant to fly, he'd have wings. So this is from the Washington Examiner. Dentists say mask mouth can cause serious health complications, including strokes.
All right, strokes. Sounds good. What is mask mouth, and how many people are getting it, and what's going on here?
Well, dentists are warning about the health issues tied to prolonged use of a mask to stop the spread of the coronavirus. They
prolonged during like the day, or prolonged? I don't know what we're talking about here.
It's kind of non-specific.
Yeah.
What they have figured out is that the people that are getting these issues, mostly starting with gum issues, gum disease, a much higher rate of that, are the people who tend to wear masks all the time.
Okay, so what? Yeah, go ahead and read the article.
Yeah, they said dental problems associated with mask mouth could include gum disease, could lead to serious complications. Gum disease or periodontal disease will eventually lead to strokes and an increased risk of heart attacks.
Yeah, it's basically the bacteria in your mouth sort of breeding under the gums and, doing its having a little party down there. And I guess the idea is that somehow the masks increase the amount of bacteria in your mouth. Mm-hmm. And it's going to cause tooth loss and a whole bunch of other things, too.
Well, they can't not increase the amount of bacteria in your mouth and the rest of where they cover.
Yeah, I mean, when you breathe out, there's a number of functions that holds, and one of it is you're expelling some of the bacteria from your mouth, some of the bacteria from your lungs. You're putting an oxygen flow through the area that allows your natural immune system to work to fight these things as it would. Now, if you're making it harder to move air across these surfaces, then that's not what your body's designed for.
Right. I see when I go to, the rare instances these days when I get out and about and I'm in a building or something, I see these people who are, say, working behind the counter at a restaurant or a bank or something like that. And they're wearing these masks. Presumably, they're wearing these masks for hours a day. Presumably 8 hours a day.
They'd have to be. At work, you are required to wear a mask, and that's what you're going to spend hours doing. And on top of the requirement to wear them at pretty much all businesses at this point, are the people that, will wear them while they're driving alone in their cars. The people that listen to, I forget whose advice, that you should really wear masks while you're at home.
Yeah, I don't know. There's probably some idiot out there wearing a mask while they sleep.
There really probably is.
And I don't know what percentage of the population they are. I sincerely hope they're far less than 1%. But, man, I can only imagine what it's like to be in any one of these people's condition. I wear a mask rarely, keep it in my car for when I, pop off into someplace where I've got to buy something. But, yeah, there's days that go by when I'm not wearing one.
And this is one of those things that has very much a deferred cost. Like, okay, if your employer says you have to wear a mask while you're at work, they're not going to pay the medical bills that happen if you get gingivitis from it.
No, they're not.
They
probably won't pay the medical bills if you get a stroke.
Right, right. Reading another little paragraph
here. I
here.
also can't see how one puts a mask over their mouth and isn't increasing the volume of carbon dioxide that you're breathing. Now, carbon dioxide is a poison.
I've seen the studies that said that the oxygen levels were the same, and I've given that one some actual thought. Like, it may very well be that there's no noticeable difference in the carbon dioxide to oxygen ratio that you have there. However, what you are definitely doing is increasing the amount of force necessary to pull the same amount of air into your lungs. So your lungs are not going to adjust to the fact that you have a mask there. They're going to do the same thing that they always do. There's a certain amount of diaphragm-produced pressure that your lungs will do without your conscious effort. And they'll do that same amount, but now you have a filter there so that they have to work extra hard to get the same amount of air in, and they're not going to do that. So you're just not going to get as much oxygen in and carbon dioxide out as you would without the resistance from pushing that fluid through a screen.
And I don't know what it's like to be in one of these businesses where you're sitting there dealing with the public and wearing a mask all day long. Thank goodness. I don't want to know what it's like to do that. But I do know what it's like to wear a mask, for a few minutes here and there, maybe on up to 45 minutes or something. And what I find myself doing is I'm, I open my mouth and I'm breathing through my mouth like a dog instead of sort of just not thinking about it. And I don't know what that sort of different breath pattern, something's going on. Things are changing.
Well, that's very likely to increase the dryness of your mouth. And one of the things that is just across the board true, the drier your mouth is, the more difficulty it has keeping things clean.
Now, that makes sense.
Let's see, going on here. We're seeing inflammation in people's gums that have been healthy forever and cavities in people who have never had them before, Raimondi said. About 50% of our patients are impacted by this, so we decided to name it mask mouth after meth mouth. Meth mouth being a term to describe poor oral hygiene typically associated with chronic meth users.
Yeah, I've certainly heard that that's a thing and seen some pictures of people who do meth. I can't say I know a great deal about the whole situation, but
oh yeah, here it is. The dentist said that the face coverings increase mouth dryness and contribute to a buildup of bad bacteria.
And I guess that's what caused people to, have more periodontal issues. This is going to affect people in their sort of midlives, that kind of late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. People who don't have to deal with cavities nearly as often are going to be dealing with periodontal disease.
And I mean, it really doesn't take a lot of logic to think about this. Like, what do you think of if someone calls you a mouth breather?
Right.
And there really is a biological basis for that. Like, if you're breathing through your mouth, holding your jaw shut actually does a lot of functions in keeping your neck in the right place, keeping your nerves where they're supposed to be, making sure that they don't get impinged. I mean, being a mouth breather is bad for your health and bad for your brain.
855-450-3733. 855-450-FREE. What do you think about mouth breathing? Free Talk Live.
So when we brought him home, we didn't realize that Bear, the rescue dog, was actually sick. He had very flaky skin. He was dropping a lot of fur, and the vet wanted to do steroid injections, special dog food. Nothing seemed to work, so I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
I've been hearing Dinovite on the radio for years. It never actually crossed my mind to try it until it finally sunk in. Oh, you're talking about hair and skin, and all right. I'll try it. Well, it took probably 6 weeks, but after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin, he doesn't scratch and itch, and he started to put weight on.
Dinovite is nutrition.
I wish that we would have started the Dinovite right away. It would have been so much easier.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your AMP will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you AMP Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. That's what we do here on Free Talk Live. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Freedom's Phoenix is a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. Do you want the newest and freshest stories and perspectives on current events from those who value liberty? freedomsphoenix.com has it. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. Freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. It's Mark with you.
Peekless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
Let's go right to the phones. We got Pat calling in from Michigan, listening to WZTK. Pat, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, guys. Good evening. And Melanie. Yeah, I'm calling in about the mask madness. Remember when this whole thing started? Everybody was fretting and moaning because they couldn't get these N95 masks.
Yes,
they
yes,
stop
I remember.
bacteria. They don't stop viruses. So what you do if let's say you actually suck one of these viral components inside this mask you're now wearing, you gave it a nice moist greenhouse to live in. These things are totally ridiculous and self-defeating.
Well, and it's a nice moist environment full of bacteria. And the thing about us multicellular organisms is we have immune systems, but a bacteria kind of doesn't. So then it's going to go into one of these bacterial cells and replicate and hit us hard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you just put a bacterial greenhouse on your face, whether it be viral or bacterial, whatever. You just keep re-ingesting the same germs.
Absolutely right.
So I don't know is basically, I mean, I'm seeing articles that say, mask bad. Then I see articles that say mask good. And I think it's gotten to the point where you're absolutely sitting in one of these scenarios where you can go on the internet and you can find evidence for whatever it is you wish to believe. And I find that to be the most difficult thing to understand. What do I do? Was 9/11 an inside job? Just go check the internet to find out. You'll never find out. And
I think that you have to look at what the incentive patterns are. And given that this is incentivizing the government to take more power, you have to assume that there are going to be certain government actors that want to spread the message that gives them
what's the power?
Legitimate to tell you whether or not you have a face.
Okay.
That's a pretty extensive power. Like, forcing you to wear something is not a common thing for governments to do.
But why do they want to do it? What do they get? I mean, where's the money?
Oh, no. See, that's the thing. Power is its own reward. I mean, if you look at the brain and the way it responds to power, it responds the same way to heroin. That is the addiction. People are like, what's the end game? And it's like, this is it. This is the plan. What is a heroin addict's end game? Its end game is more heroin. A power addict's end game is more power. Exercise power. Like, why do these people like to diddle kids? 'Cause you're not allowed to. And if I'm allowed to, that shows you that I have power.
Pat?
Yeah, I've got one little trick that I do have a little faith in. I take a little tea tree oil, put a couple of drops on a Q-tip, and put it up my nostrils when I'm going into a questionable situation.
Well, that doesn't kill.
That kills just about everything.
That doesn't kill viruses. That kills fungus.
There's nothing in the Amazon rainforest that can live on these trees, and that is the most. I mean, I can't think of a more bacterial place than that. I'm thinking if anything can survive it, this can.
Well, and one thing about it is, like I was saying with the environment that the mask creates in your face, even if it doesn't kill the virus, if you kill bacteria, you make it a more difficult environment for viruses to live. Because they have nothing to eat if they have no bacteria.
Yeah, I don't know what the ramifications are of tea tree oil in your nostril, but I could see that it's probably not an environment that a virus that's killing people off has evolved to live in. So that makes some sense. Pat, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Cameron calling in from South Dakota. Cameron, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, this is just a thought. I was hearing y'all talking about the reparations to our wonderful black brothers. After the Civil War, a lot of the black soldiers came up to the Dakotas and as part of the U.S. military that helped take away land away from the Sioux Indian tribe and other Plain Indians tribes. I was wondering if they had any plans for reparations or giving back land and livestock and mineral rights to the Sioux, along with their reparations. Perhaps some of the rich NBA and NFL players could help out on that.
There was a mention of indigenous people in the article, so that much was done. I'd say that it's very interesting up there with the Sioux and how much land they could have if the Lakota Nation became a thing. I looked into this in the past, and it spans across 5 states, and it's just tremendous. And as you know, I'm sure, Cameron, that recently, was it Toulouse? An Indian tribe whose name it begins with a T and is escaping my mind, just took over like half of Oklahoma. And now I don't know how that's going to turn out and what the law is going to look like on that, but I'm hoping that the Indians probably are the only ones that can set us free.
Well, here's the question. Did they set up a quasi-Marxist organization called Red Lives Matter?
Probably not.
The difference between U.S. slavery, at least, and nations conquering each other is that all of the nations were playing the conquering game, and now the ones that lost want to turn around and bitch about the fact that they were playing the game. U.S. slavery, you had a clear aggressor and a clear victim. They traveled across the ocean and captured some people, came back, and aggressed against them in the worst ways possible.
There were a lot of contracts and a lot of treaties along the way. In many cases, the United States broke its half of these treaties, and now we're beginning to see.
But the Indians were conquering people. The Indians were conquering under.
Well, the Indians weren't anything.
Absent from the conquering game. They
Certainly
were just
not.
bad at it.
Agreed.
Okay.
There wasn't a tribe of hippie Indians. If there was, they would have died long ago. But the Indians,
the East Coast ones were actually pretty hippies.
Okay. Well, whatever. They were at wars. There were wars going on too. But what I'm saying is that there are contracts that have provisions that have been violated, and now in the 90s, the aughts, and the teens, it's very interesting to see what's happening as these lawsuits are being brought in. The Catawba Indian Nation in South Carolina just got a big chunk of land that previously they didn't have. Like I said, Oklahoma, and I think the next ones on the block are the Sioux. They just had that whole. They got a lot of press surrounding that pipeline. Whatever you think about the pipeline, and I think it's going to be some interesting stuff to continue to watch. Cameron, do you have thoughts?
I mainly called in just to mention that black soldiers came up and helped take land away from red Native Americans. So a lot of the races have done bad things to each other, and I just want to bring that up as a point.
Thank you for your thoughts.
I think it's a good point.
855-450-3733. Well, I'll say this. I don't want to be held responsible for the actions of somebody now dead that you, whomever you might be, think looks like me. And I hope that I'm given the same consideration. And in many cases, I'm not. So I think that what the lesson here that Cameron's trying to teach is that, hey, you don't want this. You don't want to play this game. Because I don't think we do want to play this game.
The only way to win this game is not to play.
Kind of like conquering.
Yeah. The number, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE here on Free Talk Live.
We are GCN, the Genesis Communications Network. We've got listeners, lots of them. Around the world, around the clock, our listeners do what listeners do. They listen. And you know what listeners got? Needs. Needs for your products, your services, and money to buy those needs. With our network of over 1,000 radio stations, streaming on the web, and our satellite transmissions, we're reaching our listeners with quality conservative programming. But there's something our listeners don't have. Your offer to meet their needs. Any business needs buyers, but if our listeners don't hear your message, they're still going to buy what they need, just not from your business. So let's fix this. Tell us about your business. Then let our super creative department go to work to craft just the right message for our GCN listeners. Get started today with GCN, the Genesis Communications Network. Just shoot us an email. advertise@gcnlive.com.
There's so much hand sanitizer on the market, but beware, not all hand sanitizers are created equal. That's why you want to use 2020 Safe hand sanitizer. You can trust the hand sanitizer on 2020safe.net to be made with the highest quality ingredients, American made with American ingredients, employing Americans. Log on now to 2020safe.net and order your 1 liter today. Normally $29.99, but reduced to $19.99. So hurry while supplies last and receive a bonus. That's right. You'll receive a 30-count bottle of Immune Booster, a $39.95 value, free by using code GCN at checkout. Right now, click 2020safe.net. That's 2020safe.net to get our 1 liter bottle of high-quality hand sanitizer with your free bonus. A 30-count bottle of Immune Booster valued at $39.95. Remember to enter GCN at checkout, and the bonus is yours free. 2020safe.net.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agoristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agorist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agoristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agoristhosting.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Call in. Talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
Peekless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. We appear to have moved on to masks, talking about a report, I guess, from dentists saying that wearing a mask over your mouth increases periodontal issues, bacterial issues in the mouth, causes people to breathe with their mouths open, dries their mouths out. Dry mouths are bad because bacteria, I don't know, gets down in the little pockets or something.
Well, a lot of it is exactly what you were saying, is that you find that while you're wearing a mask, and this is not me saying this is the dentist they were interviewing.
Yep.
That when you're wearing these masks, you breathe through your mouth. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with the fact that while you don't have something inhibiting your breathing, you can breathe through a smaller amount of space. But you have to have a wider area to breathe through when you have something inhibiting airflow. But at any case, breathing through your mouth instead of your nose will dry out your mouth. And this
it's not what it's for. It's for eating, not for breathing.
Yeah,
I mean, you can, but you shouldn't, generally.
Yeah, and this is one of the same issues that you find in the dental problems of smokers. So by smoking tobacco, the same thing happens. You dry out your mouth. Your mouth only operates when it has a certain amount of moisture. That's why you have salivary glands in there. And just like smokers, if you're wearing this mask, you're breathing through your mouth and drying out the mouth. That means that you can't clear out the bacteria, so they build up to the point where they cause inflammation and can eventually cause strokes.
From the AFP, Nordics brush off mouth covers. Stockholm, as most of the world either orders or recommends the use of face masks, with even U.S. President Donald Trump seen wearing one, Nordic nations are remaining holdouts. In supermarkets, on buses, along with the streets of capitals such as Stockholm, Copenhagen, Oslo, Helsinki, and Reykjavik, that's the Nordic nations, face masks are a rare sight, worn only by a small minority, many of whom are tourists. According to a recent survey by YouGov, only 5 to 10% of respondents in Nordic countries said they used masks in public settings, a figure that has remained stable since the start of the crisis in March. And, yeah, I mean, you know, I think that what I would like to see as we walk out of this is masks for for people who want to wear them, specifically for people who aren't feeling really super great that day.
maybe today is a good day to wear a mask and not fill the air up with whatever you've got. And sometimes you just don't feel good when you get up.
I would certainly be railing against the idea if someone was like, no, we as the government have decided that we need to have herd immunity as quickly as possible, therefore we are forbidding masks.
Right.
Forbidding people to wear them or for them to be made or for them to be distributed. I would be railing against that.
It would kind of also be a non-issue for sick people if it was the social norm that you don't have to go places when you're sick.
Right. I think that's the first thing is that we have to get rid of whatever that idea was that was going on in the ideas of the heads of my parents when I was a kid. I came from a family, admittedly, the sort of Lutheran Calvinist kind of cut from that cloth where if you could stand, you went to work.
Suffering is good for your soul.
That kind of thing. And I got at least half of the times throughout the 13 years that I went to school, perfect attendance. All that is a declaration that I made people ill. I mean, there shouldn't be an award for perfect attendance at school. What that says is that you've made poor choices, to my mind.
Well, it says your parents have made poor choices because we're not talking about college. We're talking about underage people.
Understood. But and again, I'm not proposing to hang anybody for this. I'm just saying, hey, we need to stop and think about this. Because only recently, in the relatively recent past, maybe the last couple of decades or something, have I heard people talking about you shouldn't go to work or school if you're sick. Actually, I was hearing the opposite when I was young. And so let's go on.
Well, I definitely think that's a move in the right direction.
At the same time, the corresponding figures have risen between 70 and 80% for most of the other 20 countries polled, including India and the United States. So that's people wearing masks, going up to 70 and 80%. I have the impression that if the government doesn't say clearly, we advise you to wear a mask, nobody will. 21-year-old French student Camille Fortunaroli told the AFP, adding that she was shocked to see how rare masks were in Stockholm. Bridget Weidel, a 63-year-old pensioner, told AFP that she would have preferred if Sweden's authorities recommended masks at least on public transport, but she added that she would keep going without one unless there was a shift in official policy.
So not only she wants you to take care of her health, she doesn't have a car as an adult.
And she also doesn't intend to wear a mask until everybody else does.
So I found a couple of graphs which are not exactly easy to talk about verbally, but I mean, so
just tell me what when you look at the graph, tell me what you think about it.
So this is daily new confirmed COVID-19 deaths, and I think the confirmed part is a very interesting thing because you can think this was COVID-19, you can say it, but like to confirm it is a little more solid. But so you've got the line for America, which it shoots up at the beginning, it starts to round off a bit, and then it just sort of goes over to the right and wavers a bit and doesn't really fall that low. Now you've got Sweden, which it goes up and then it tapers down and down and down, and then it just crashes at the end. So at the very end, we're pretty much where we started, and they're at zero. Like they're down to zero confirmed COVID-19 deaths now. And this is the country that had the least amount of government regulations and requirements. They're like, hey, here's what we advise. Be smart about this. Be considerate. To
be fair, what is the age demographic difference, though?
The age demographic
They should be older.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of old people in Sweden.
So here, this Weidel gal, 69 years old, says, if they don't, I will not wear it because nobody else does. Martin Sporrong, a 50-year-old businessman, said that he would follow government recommendations. If they tell us we don't need masks, we don't wear them. Sweden has received global attention for its softer approach to curbing the spread of the virus, which, coupled with a relatively higher death toll, has led to the region's largest country being shunned by its neighbors. But
Sweden was historically about minding their business.
But when it comes to masks, the Nordic nations look staunchly united. So except for Sweden, there are a few cases in those countries. KK Cheng, an epidemiologist at the University of Birmingham's Institute for Applied Health Research, told AFP. So
I don't blame them for not doing it as long as they have reasonable social distancing and contact tracing has been done properly. We got to do that. Asked Tuesday,
as long as you're being spied on, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. What might change his mind on recommending the use of face masks, Sweden's chief epidemiologist Anders Tengdahl said that he's still waiting for some of the proof that they're effective. So,
what a novel concept.
Yeah. For Chang, such logic is questionable. I think it's wrong. I think it's irresponsible, and it's stubborn, the epidemiologist said. If he's wrong, it costs life. If I'm wrong, what harm does it do? The epidemiologist says there's no harm to wearing masks, that we should all wear them. I'm not entirely sure that that's true.
Well, and I mean, okay, so there's the direct physical health-oriented harm that he's talking about. Okay, well, we've discussed some of the issues with that. You've got your mask mouth. You've got one of the things that bothers me the most is not seeing people's faces is actually really bad for your immune system.
I think that the epidemiologist should know that bacteria grows in wet, damp, dark places.
You would think.
Well, right now they're looking at COVID. They're not looking at much else. They're certainly not looking at dental issues.
Well, and even just looking at COVID. Okay, let's assume that nothing else exists. This is the only thing that needs any of our attention. Okay, viruses need cells to procreate. That's what they are. That's how they work. Now, if you have a multicellular organism, it has defenses. It has cells that will attack the virus and will attack cells that have been infected with the virus. So what it wants is bacteria to eat. That's what it needs. It needs defenseless little single-celled organisms so that it can get in, procreate, and explode. That's what they do. So if you make more bacteria, if you create this environment that is bacteria rich, you will get a lot of viruses.
I get the idea, but wouldn't we be seeing many more cases and deaths and all these sorts of things going on in countries where mask compliance is significantly higher, if that's the case?
No, because COVID isn't. Well, and I wouldn't necessarily expect that because COVID isn't all that deadly except to people who are already very fragile.
Well, that much is true.
And in a lot of cases, you are actually seeing a later spread that increases the amount of deaths in the most mask-compliant countries.
What do you think? The number's 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. I don't know. I mean, like I hear all kinds of stuff as far as masks go. I really don't. I wouldn't know. I mean, all I can do is read the news. 855-450-3733.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now's your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
An emergency meeting. Fox News, I'm Mary Corsetti. The Democratic-run House is demanding that leaders of the U.S. Postal Service testify at an emergency oversight hearing August 24th on mail delays. It comes as critics claim the White House is trying to undermine the agency during the coronavirus pandemic as states expand mail-in voting options for the election. The Democrats want to hear from new Postmaster General Louis DeJoy, who they claim has acted to cut overtime for postal workers and reduce the use of mail processing equipment. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
I spent almost 2 hours with him, and I can tell you, Mr. DeJoy, he said, I'm doing what I want, in so many words.
Trump senior advisor Steve Cortez fires back on Fox News Sunday.
There is no amount of money that could get the United States Postal Service ready for a universal vote by mail.
This as presumptive vice presidential nominee Senator Kamala Harris talking with the Griot about what she expects from the Trump administration as Election Day inches closer.
They're going to engage in lies. They're going to engage in deception. They're going to engage in an attempt to distract from the real issues that are impacting the American people. And I expect that they will engage in dirty tactics, and this is going to be a knockdown, drag-out.
Trump campaign senior advisor Jason Miller said polls showing former Vice President Joe Biden ahead of President Trump in a number of surveys are wrong, just as they were when polls showed Hillary Clinton ahead of Trump in 2016.
Media pollsters have not corrected their models since 2016. In the same way that they undercounted Trump voters and they missed so much, nothing fundamentally has changed.
The Democratic National Convention kicks off tomorrow. Bringing you to a developing story now, multiple police officers have been shot while responding to a call at a home in Cedar Park, Texas. The suspect barricaded inside the home following the shots, and multiple law enforcement agencies are on the scene. Cedar Park Police has pleaded with residents to stay inside their homes during this situation. America is listening to Fox News.
Who knew that the same company that made the twist ties around your loaf of bread also made the face shield delivered to your front door? Packaging solutions provider Bedford Industries stepped up in a big way during the pandemic with help from NetSuite, the world's #1 cloud business system. Here's Bedford's president, Jay Milbrandt.
At Bedford, we saw an opportunity to retool our products to create face shields. Thanks to the visibility and control NetSuite provides, we had the agility to change our business overnight. In no time, NetSuite helped us launch our first e-commerce site and handled crucial details from licensing to order tracking. Now we're taking orders from around the world 24/7. We couldn't have done it without NetSuite.
NetSuite by Oracle gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place. They surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of top strategies they're using as America reopens for business. Receive your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now, and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
Wildfires continuing to lay waste to many parts of California this weekend, with thousands of acres of land scorched in the flames.
Preventing heat-related deaths and stopping these raging wildfires are major concerns right now as this intense heat continues to blanket the region. Dry lightning storms, which are very unusual for the Bay Area, are making the dangerous fire conditions in Northern California worse. It is so incredibly hot that the heat is evaporating the rain before it even hits the ground. So what we end up seeing out of these thunderstorms is dry lightning. New fires have started since last night, most likely from the lightning, like the wildfire now burning in the Diablo Range of Santa Clara County. Mandatory evacuations are now in place for the rapidly spreading Loyalton fire. The National Weather Service issued a rare fire tornado or fire-nado warning for the Loyalton fire.
Fox's Christina Coleman. Meanwhile, President Trump and the Democrats are looking to make a splash in Wisconsin this week. Fox's Mike Tobin has the details.
Even Wisconsin Republicans are disappointed that the Democrats largely won't be coming to town because they're expected to spend about $200 million. But with the number of attendees expected at first to be around $50,000, when it all washes out, the numbers will be in the hundreds. The vice presidential and presidential nominees will be giving their speeches remotely, as will most of the speakers. So gone are the big confetti and balloon drops. The excitement of the delegate vote is replaced by what is being called the roll call across America. And as Democrats and Republicans take a different approach to virus virus prevention. Even the ground game, which usually intensifies after the convention, is changed. Now, on Monday, when Democrats largely don't come to Wisconsin, President Trump will. He's holding a rally in Oshkosh. His son Eric comes to Wisconsin the next day, and the Vice President Pence comes a day after that.
President Trump is also holding a rally in Scranton, Pennsylvania on Thursday, the birthplace of presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. I'm Mary Corsetti, and this is Fox News.
People are saying it could be a baby bump. Our senior celebrity correspondent, Tyler, is here. Tyler, you always have the inside dish. What's the deal?
She looks like she got fat, so she might have a baby in her tummy.
Oh? What else have you heard?
I heard she has a boyfriend, and they have sex.
That's right. You know, the Hollywood couple vacationed in Rome together just 2 months ago.
They had a big hotel room, and I can tell you what they did in it.
Spill it, Tyler.
He put his in her.
Hot. She is one lucky gal.
And she's going crazy.
Uh-oh. Is stardom starting to wear on Emma?
Yeah, she's crazy and dumb. She put a carrot in her.
Whoa. Do tell.
Yeah, she said, oh, this carrot's like my boyfriend's. I'm gonna rub it all over my. I'm so gross. Then she ate it like Bugs Bunny.
What a hot mess. Hey, Emma, get it together, girl. Tyler, you are breaking news as always.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Call in and talk about what you want to talk about. It's Mark with you.
Peekless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
What we're talking about is apparently Nordic nations really aren't doing this whole face mask thing. Now, like it or not, this is the news. This is AFP. This is not some random news source. This is not a Democrat from a Democrat side or a Republican side. This isn't conspiracy. This is news. And they're saying more or less you're getting compliance of between 5 and 10% as far as mask wearing, because Nordic nations are. Now, this isn't just Sweden. They're pretty much unified in just simply not wearing the masks. And their chief epidemiologist says Sweden's chief epidemiologist, Anders Tengel, says he's waiting for some form of proof that they're effective. And now, of course, there's somebody on the other side that says he doesn't like that kind of logic. He thinks, I think it's wrong. It's irresponsible. It's stubborn. The epidemiologist said, the other one, if he's wrong, it costs life. If I'm wrong, what harm does it do? And I think we've answered that in the previous hour, which is that, hey, wearing masks isn't without its ramifications. And it's like, that's what people are saying. Well, we shut down the economy for a little while. So what? It's a bad thing.
Well, if I'm wrong about shutting down the economy, what harm does it do? I mean, you can't prove that the suicide increase has to do with the fact that people are stuck at home with nothing to do. You can't prove that the opiate use has increased because they have nothing to do. Now, I do think it's interesting.
And alcohol.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting that it's the Nordic countries that are doing away with the masks. They have a general reputation, at least as far as I know, of being a sort of friendly culture. So the fact that they would push back against not being able to see each other's faces, I find very interesting.
Yeah, and I think that seeing the face thing is pretty important to point out. We all have cabin fever right now, and it is displaying itself differently for different people. But none of us is being helped psychologically from a mental health standpoint by not being able to see the faces of the people that we're talking to. I think that it is sort of a natural human inclination when you don't get to look into somebody's eyes and see the smile on their face to presume that the thing that they're saying is meant in the worst possible way. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just the pessimist. I don't consider myself a pessimist.
Well, that's
at
a
all.
survival inclination, because if they're happy at you and you're wrong about that, you don't lose ultimately. You might lose something. If they're angry at you and you're wrong about that, you might lose finally.
Yeah, I mean, and throughout time, I mean, like, wherever, whenever, if some stranger shows up in a mask, that is not a positive indication. Like, if some stranger shows up, well, and I mean, you can't really tell if they're a stranger because they've got a mask on.
Right.
But, like our caveman ancestors sitting around a fire, and then suddenly someone pops out of the darkness with a mask on. That's not comforting.
Not usually. I suppose they could be telling a story using the masks to augment the story or something like that.
And usually scaring the crap out of people augments the story.
Yes. After the World Health Organization changed its guidance, Danish health officials began cautiously recommending using masks in early July, such as when going to the hospital for a test or when you're coming back from a risk area. Face covers don't make sense in the current situation where we have a consistently very low rate of infections, said Søren Bronström, pardon me to any Nordics out there, and these names and how I'm pronouncing them, director of the Danish Health Authority, and he told broadcaster DR on Tuesday. But could it make sense in the long term when we bump into each other on the public transport and other situations? That is, of course, something that we will evaluate. So they're looking at it. Similarly, in Norway and Finland, although there's no opposition on principle, masks are deemed as an unnecessary precaution while the spread is low. And you have to ask yourself, how long do we have to wear these masks? At what level of infection can we begin taking them off and start living life as it was meant to be lived? Are we going to make the people working at these restaurants and in these offices and banks, are we going to make them wear masks forever?
Until you have the vaccine.
I mean, some busybody in my town actually complained about the people at the transfer station, that's the dump, not wearing masks outdoors. They're outdoors. They don't have to wear masks. They're not getting within 6 feet of you, and they're outdoors. And yeah, I get it. There's my town is one of these towns that's chock full of octogenarians. I know you're scared, but take your own precautions.
If you're trying to avoid germs, then maybe the dump is not the place for you.
Well, also,
really,
if you're trying to avoid germs and you're...
I don't think their breath is making the garbage dirtier.
Probably not.
That would be the worst place to wear a mask because you're covered in who knows what all day, and now you're touching your face.
And, if you don't want to go to the dump where people are not wearing masks,
don't
send
go to the
somebody
dump.
else. I mean, pay somebody.
They'll pick it up for you
cranky.
in Manchester. I can order. I actually can't from the lockdown, so maybe that's the issue. But I could otherwise order for them to pick up large items.
Well, you guys have trash pickup where you are. We don't have
Yes.
trash pickup on the side of the state. It just doesn't exist. I mean, you can pay somebody private trash pickup, but not.
If you're
public.
80, you should be at a point in your life where you have savings and have accumulated some assets over the better part of a century that you've had to do that.
Indeed.
True. And one of the things, the Danish, what have you there, okay, wearing them in a hospital, that seems like a great idea. That seems like a good idea in general. Wear a mask when you go into a hospital because you're going into a confined space with a bunch of sick people. That's pretty darn reasonable. If you're in a crowded subway where you're armpit to armpit with a bunch of unknown, unwashed strangers, also a judicious use of a mask. But all the time?
Right. I mean, it's just all the time. And then other people want it for their well-being. You should wear a mask because you want to wear a mask. And you should.
How dare you put me in danger?
Right. But, look, if you don't like the store's policy or the organization's policy, go somewhere else. It may be something that will have to be considered in the near future if the contamination increases. Oh, God, these names. R. Stutsquitberg, a doctor with the Norwegian Institute of Public Health. Mika Salminen, director of the Health Security in the Finnish Institute for Health and Welfare, told broadcaster YLE the issue would likely resurface when people begin to return from holidays to a greater extent, and of course, if the epidemic situation changes radically. On Thursday, however, one Nordic country broke slightly from the mold. Iceland, which, like its neighbors, have so far sworn off masks, announced that it would start requiring their use on public transport. Domestic flights. There's domestic flights in Iceland? Ferries and hairdressing salons. Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised at that
There's
domestic
some
flights
silly
thing.
little flights here that don't make much sense.
You can fly from Manchester to Boston. It's a thing that exists.
You can.
It'd be
not
shorter to drive there, but if you are weird, you can fly there.
Indeed. So I guess Iceland is bringing in masks. And I guess the question that I have and that I'd love to have answered for me at 855-450-3733 is, at what point? Like, what happens for us to return to some life like it was before? They're trying to define a new normal. And no one wants to talk about what that new normal is. I say no handshakes, and let's just do away with that particular activity.
We could not touch strangers ever again. I'd be cool with that.
I like hugs, personally.
Strangers,
so here's what you need to do. You need to get the vaccine that may take 7 years to come along. You need to have an app on your phone that shows that you have the vaccine. You need to make sure that you have that updated, and you need to be contact traced with everyone you're ever around.
There'll be somebody in the community within a month that has a way to fake that app.
And then in 6 to 8 weeks, we'll get back to you about taking your mask off for 5 minutes.
Well, I got my intergalactic passport, so I should be good. The number, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE, as in Free Talk Live. News from news.bitcoin.com. Chinese banks limit customers' ability to buy gold. Chinese flooding and potential dam collapse threatens many Bitcoin operations. Withdrawals from crypto exchanges increase, indicating perhaps more people are holding their coin for themselves. Tentative agreement met to stabilize Bitcoin Cash mining in conjunction with the currency's third birthday. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Moose is the German Shepherd and hasn't had any kind of health problems at all. He has been on Dinovite since he's a puppy. DINOVITE.com. We tell anybody that has a dog, if there was something that you could do right from the beginning so that you don't have expensive veterinary bills, why would you not do it? Get the Dinovite.
Dinovite for life. You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils, plus a hint of menthol, was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's Mark with you.
Peekless Mountaineer.
And Melanie.
Let me tell you about Divvy. From mid-March to mid-July, Divvy, a new and easy-to-use cryptocurrency that we've been promoting here on Free Talk Live, increased in value by over 10 times. Nothing's stopping from Divvy from increasing exponentially again, and in fact, that's their goal. Divvy's price jumped 10 times in correlation with their release of their beta wallet. Now, we're not sure why the price jumped, and that's kind of one of the things about getting into cryptocurrencies from an investment standpoint. But will it go up further when the wallet's fully released? I don't know, but Free Talk Live's pretty happy with our decision to hook up with Divvy a year ago. And you can go to divvyproject.org and begin earning Divvy by starting a masternode or staking Divvy. They've got a lottery for people who stake the coin, too, so opportunities knocked here on every day here on Free Talk Live since last September. Will you answer? divvyproject.org. That's D-I-V-I, divvyproject.org. Let's go to David calling in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Very interesting.
Yes?
Very, very interesting. Yeah, the gay Nazis. They're getting very interesting again.
The Nazis are getting interesting?
The gay Nazis, not just the Nazis.
The gay Nazis. Well, there had to have been some gay Nazis.
So their leadership then.
Right.
It's only the leadership that can get away with that, you know.
All the Nazis gets away with that. Especially the New Mexico Nazis.
So you've got New Mexico's gay Nazis. Tell me about them.
Yes.
Are these the people that are trying to keep you from calling into the radio station?
We have discovered another one.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Excuse me, David wants to speak to you. Yeah, hang on. Dave. Yeah, okay.
Thanks,
that guy is kind of queer. He can't he's hard to understand, so let's ditch him. So this New Mexico judge Felicia Blair Rivera. So she was the newest addition to this panoply of cases here, and I had a little run-in here with her in the courtroom, and it made me to do some additional research I hadn't done before because we've got a new judge on the scene. So I did some checking, and looking at photographs on the internet. You know, you look at the written stuff, and then you look at whatever is in still photographs and whatever is video and whatever else you can find. And there's only like 3 or 4 photographs, and one of them has picked 3 people in the photograph, and it's 4 people in the photograph, 4 judges. One that is a long existing judge, which whom I have a history with, Sandra Engel, and then the 3 newbie judges, baby judges as they're called by the legal industry. And it just so happens I have a history with all 3 of them as well, and the Blair Rivera one included. And so here's where the gay part.
So you've gone through all the judges in your area.
But not quite. I still have a few. I have a few. Yeah, I got a couple of years left before I get through them all and have to move to a different state and start over. Now you made me lose my place, man.
I'm sorry. So the judges, you've gone through them all.
Yeah, well, I've gone through them all, and back to KUNM, the radio station that wants to put me in prison for 4 or 3 years for calling into their call-in program. And if you remember, there's like, I don't know, about 3 or 4 players in management at KUNM, University of New Mexico radio station, that are in on this. And the majority of them, meaning for sure 2 and probably 3 out of the 4 or 5 of them, are by my gaydar, which is highly refined, are LGBTQ.
All right.
And then when they called the cops on me, the University of New Mexico Police Department, the cop that or one of the cops, the most significant cop in presently, is a transsexual cop from
Transylvania.
From transsexual Transylvania.
But I mean, other than sort of pattern recognition, how is this meaningful, David?
Okay. You were talking about it. The reason it ties in. Well, thank you for reminding me, Mark.
Okay.
I forgot all about to make that connection. I was going to make that connection earlier in your program. You were discussing how the black people or Black Lives Matter anyway, which are a bunch of white people actually, are threatening the white people, guilting them out and telling them to give up their property and give it back to the black people who it rightfully belongs to.
And to the best of our knowledge, no one's done that.
Right, and so we were hinting at, we were at least hinting, if not going beyond hinting, that some white people were possibly being not treated fairly in present day America surrounding these events. And so if you
mean the people who own the houses?
Yeah. So if you recognize that pattern and admit there's a possibility that white people might possibly be being oppressed in some ways that aren't quite right or just or fair, then that means that by definition there's also the possibility that other groups could be doing the same thing, and that's where the LGBT community comes into at KUNM. When you have 4 or 5 management personnel and the majority of them are LGBTQ, when in the ambient population they are 4% of the population, that raises some eyebrows. Then when you go over to their police force and the dude that writes you up on charges happens to be LGBTQ, and then also there's a prominent city councilor in Albuquerque, Pat Davis, who is also prominent in our media, and he used to be a UNM cop, and he is LGBTQ. And then if we go to the judges, long time ago, my gaydar was tripped by Judge David Murphy, who was on one of my cases. And I never got down my checklist far enough to research him. And then I wasn't even researching him. He just happened to be in that photograph with Judge Blair Rivera. And in his bio that's connected to that photograph at the Metro Court, metro.nmcourts.gov, the Metro Court, they have a bio for him, and he enjoys walking his dogs with his husband, Damien, or whatever his husband's name is. And so I didn't even have to go looking for it. It came to me. And so we have a very high percentage of LGBTQ that are connected to my case when there's a very, very low percentage of LGBTQ in the general population.
I gotcha. Okay.
So it definitely has become politically expedient in very recent times to hire and promote LGBTQ members.
But are you suggesting that you may lose because there's some kind of fidelity between the plaintiffs here, all the different sides? I mean, I don't know.
Not at all. Did you say that I may lose? Is that what I heard you say?
Well, I mean, there's probably going to be a judge is going to play some role in winning or losing.
Not even a possibility. But if you rephrase your question, am I suggesting that there may be some retaliation, some conspiracy? Damn straight.
Okay. So what's your? can you tell us what your secret weapon is to make these people that are obviously arrayed against you so that they lose?
Secret weapon? Oh, maybe facts and the law. How about that?
Facts. Man, I've been dealing with those on the air for a long, long time. I wish they were as powerful as I thought they were.
Yeah, it turns out it depends on how relevant things being factual is to who you're talking to.
Keep us updated, David. The number, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE on Free Talk Live.
Okay, so
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. DIVI project.org.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you get the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
The Tallahassee Zoo, which faced a major budget crisis. Luckily, they were able to get both, keep guests and animals happy and stay profitable.
And that's thanks to the zoo's new director, Maxwell Jeffries.
Happy to be here, thank you.
Good morning.
Now, what's the most profitable part of the zoo? The elephants, the tigers?
No, the gift shop, okay? Food court. But now the entire zoo is the gift shop. So you come to the zoo, you look around, you see something you like, make me an offer. I'm a businessman. I want to make people happy. You're probably familiar with the old saying, don't feed the animals.
Oh, right, of course.
Okay, well, that's old-fashioned thinking. At our zoo, you can feed the animals.
Anything you want?
Anything you want. Oats, eggs, batteries, you name it. And we also invented a new tiered membership system. So for your standard membership, you go to the zoo, you get to see the animals. For your gold level membership, you get to pick any two animals, make them fight each other. Yeah. And then with a platinum, you get 1 hour alone in the zoo. No questions asked. Yeah.
Wow.
This is the Onion News Network.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about what you want to talk about. We've been talking about masks. Masks are fun. I want to tell you about Intercoin, too. Thanks to Intercoin, every member of a community can receive a periodic airdrop of money they can use on necessities. This UBI can be funded by outside donors or by the community democratically voting to gradually inflate their internal money supply. Community currencies powered by Intercoin enable communities to help their own without waiting for the federal government and without disincentivizing paid work. The arrangement is completely voluntary and democratic. Intercoin is attempting to regain some of our freedoms that are threatened on the internet and in meat space. We think that this is important here on Free Talk Live, and so important that FTL accepted $40,000 worth of Intercoin tokens from Intercoin Incorporated for advertising. And if you think freedom's important too, check out Intercoin at intercoin.org. You can invest in this project and potentially make big gains, or just be involved and perhaps shape its future. As a matter of fact, investments available to people of all levels. Go to intercoin.org, find out more. Inter, spelled with an I, intercoin.org. Let's go to the phones. We've got Gene, the Christian anarchist, on the Discord lines. Gene, you there?
Yeah, I was going to talk about a delegation of authority and where does this authority come from. If the people at the bottom, like a sergeant or something, can say that his authority is delegated from his superior officer.
Right, from
so
the lieutenant to the captain or whatever.
Yeah, goes all the way up to the top general, and supposedly they've even got little pieces of paper that say that this person is delegating authority to that person. But here's where it gets interesting. The top guy says he gets his authority from the president. So now here's where it's getting real interesting.
Yep.
Because where does the president get his authority? You know, kings used to say that God gave them authority. Well, I hope we've learned not to fall for that lie. So
I would say that one would claim that the presidents got their authority from the states.
Well, I would think that people would claim that the president got their authority from the mandate of the masses.
From the people, yeah. See, now this is
yeah, I've seen Monty Python, indeed.
They
women
say
lying
it comes
ponds. Go ahead.
From the people, and but how does a gang of people have any authority over me? See, this is where the whole thing falls apart.
Yep.
And we can realize that it's nothing more than a gang of thugs that are using violence to get their way. And because I didn't give him authority over me, I don't know if you did, but I suspect you didn't. So, and how does
not
voting?
Consent.
Yeah, how does voting give me the right to put my neighbor under burden to the President of the United States, you see?
Last time I used that line of reasoning on a government official, they told me that was linear thinking. As though linear thinking is bad, I don't know. That's just what they said.
What was their alternative?
Well, I mean...
Did you ask compared to what?
It was an email exchange.
That's linear thinking.
It's the internet. People on the internet don't answer questions.
Parallel processing, I guess.
Well, and that's exactly the problem right there. So they are pretending to have something that would make sense.
Yep.
So if we actually did delegate our authority, now I mean you can take whichever position you like, but you sort of end up at the idea of what philosophically we call agency. The capacity to make moral choices. Now, you can say that this was given to man from God. You can say that it is given to us by our ability to make free will decisions, that it's something we have to assume if we're going to have conversations. But you end up with the people, like fully grown adult, not taken out of this for some other reason, like drugs or unconsciousness or what have you. We have this authority. And they're pretending that we gave this authority to them, whether we did or not. And if we actually did, if we gave that authority to them, if we agreed to this system, then it would make sense and it would be legitimate. It would be a very poor choice on our part, but we're allowed to make poor choices.
See, it's interesting because in the original founding documents and the way that they first set it up is really they didn't have authority over the people. In fact, they had servitude to the people, and that was why they became known as public servants. And that worked real well for about 150 years until the servants decided they wanted to be the masters. And in the old days, you even had to charge somebody by having a sworn complaint from another citizen.
Yeah.
The government could not charge anybody. They had sworn complaints, and you had to go down and swear out a complaint to the gendarmes.
Yeah, you'd have an affidavit.
Yeah, and now you can't even bring up charges.
So you do actually see a remnant of that original system from time to time when there is a federal grand jury. So the federal grand jury, you don't have to actually prove that they did a thing. You have to prove that it's worth finding out if someone did a thing.
Right.
And that's a reflection of the original system, which and there's actually case law that proves that the powers that once belonged to the king, because of this revolution, now belong to the people. So you had to get actual people.
Right, and the people are...
the people were sovereign. And
right.
And that's the thing with like delegated authority. You don't delegate it for no reason. You delegate it to get something done.
Sovereignty was supposed to lie with the people. In fact, there's an old court case, Yicwo v. Hopkins, and I bring this up from time to time. And in that court decision in 1850-something, the Supreme Court ruled that the people were the sovereigns, not the government. But in the 150-odd years since then, they have sure switched that around, and they've made it so that the people now believe, just like the old days where the people believed that the king was given authority by God, now all of a sudden the people have been convinced that there's this magical authority of government to rule over the people. They were supposed to be servants, not rulers.
Indeed. Hey, Gene, that was Yicwo v. what?
Hopkins.
All right, yeah, the one I know that that does the same thing is Lansing versus Smith.
Mm-hmm. Yicwo v. Hopkins is a key case, and it often still gets cited, but people don't really understand the power behind what that was actually said there, because there were multiple rulings by the court, and that's all typically the case with the Supreme Court, is they have multiple rulings, and one of those rulings is the shocking one where it points out that the people are sovereign, not the government.
I'm curious as to how a citizen, because a citizen used to be able to bring charges. I mean, we all know that. But how a citizen would go even about that these days. It couldn't, the right couldn't have disappeared. It's just that the police won't do anything about it.
Well, police don't press charges. I mean, you can't, while it is true that you cannot order the police to arrest someone, that really has nothing to do with bringing charges.
Yeah, in their system, and Melanie is definitely the expert on this one, but in their system, a citizen cannot bring charges against anyone. You can file a civil
When did the
charge.
system change?
Civil War, actually.
Okay.
And there are documents that will cite not a case, not a law, but the Civil War as the change of laws.
There were people using the bringing charges in the 20th century. That's after the Civil War.
Yeah,
so I don't think that's when the change. I don't think it happened at the Civil War.
The biggest change was at the Civil War. A number of things. One of which was they changed the meaning of the word citizen. So citizen used to have sort of two different meanings, and one of them was the sovereign member of the community, and the other was equivalent to subject. And that's when it moved completely with the current 13th Amendment to a citizen is subject to.
I see. Well, I don't know how to fix it.
I think yeah.
Well, you got to replace it. Like we have to start making agreements among ourselves and have a community where we agree as moral agents to have these kind of courts that actually function.
Gene, thank you for the call. The number 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. You can call in about whatever you'd like to talk about here on Free Talk Live.
Have you ever thought about turning your Glock, XD Family, or 1911 handgun into a semi-automatic carbine? It only takes about 30 seconds. The MacTech Carbine Upper is classified as an accessory and can be delivered right to your doorstep with no FFL or background check required. It's the world's most versatile pistol accessory. Build your custom upper today. Simply go to handgunconversion.com. That's handgunconversion.com.
Are you a business owner that needs a large supply of face masks?
Do you have a large family and need a large supply of face masks?
And want high quality but not high prices? Then you want sunny-bay.com.
Our face masks are a better quality than Costco and lower price than Amazon.
There's none better than sunny-bay.com.
See for yourself. Go to sunny-bay.com and place your order today.
Again, business owners, large families, and anyone who needs a large supply of quality disposable face masks. Click sunny-bay.com.
Be sure and look for our volume discounts.
Our high-quality cloth face masks are handmade in the USA.
We also have N95 masks.
See our quality, get details, and order at sunny-bay.com, a Biomed DB design company.
Remember, volume discounts for large quantities at sunny-bay.com.
Just click sunny-bay.com.
This is George Norrie from Coast to Coast AM and History Channel's Ancient Aliens. We support the amazing energy, nutrition, and skincare products from Jeunesse. Jeunesse products are designed by leading doctors in their field with natural ingredients and even stem cell technology. These products help your body perform and look better. Shop Jeunesse at gcnlife.com or call 1-844-443-6637. gcnlife.com or 844-443-6637.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live, final segment. Still might be able to squeeze you in if you call in now. Yep. The number, 855-450-3733. Want to thank Gaylord and all the other amplifiers. If you'd like to be an amplifier because you like, I don't know, the idea that Free Talk Live allows people to call in and talk about what they want to talk about, supporting free speech, or perhaps realize that there is no other show on the planet, no other radio program on the planet that supports for the human freedom the way that Free Talk Live does, well then the Amplifier program would be great. It's $5 a month. There's lots of benefits. Just go check them out at AMP. That's ampamp.freetalklive.com. And special thanks to Gaylord tonight. Let's go to Andrew calling in from Ohio. Andrew, you're on Free Talk Live.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this. When Democrats always complain about monopolies, but they never talk about the post office, which they've completely ruined that. They've lost $69 billion since 2007. The post office. The post office pays no taxes. Last year they lost $8.8 billion, and Democrats are still defending this government monopoly is just crazy to me. I just wanted to hear your thoughts about that.
Yeah, they've got a monopoly on what they call first-class mail, which is mail under $1. At some point, the United States government will have, destroyed this through inflation.
When the monopoly they have is on letters, so UPS can't say, "Oh, I'm mailing letters for $1.10," because even though it's over $1. So it's the letters that they have a monopoly
Are
on.
you sure of that? Because I've been told for some time that it was mail under $1 was what first-class mail would be considered.
That might be what the post office considers to be first-class mail, but that's not what the monopoly covers.
All right, so you're saying that somebody can't write a letter now and can't deliver a letter.
Well, so they can, but they are dictated to charge at least 7 times what the post office does if they do.
Oh, so they've changed the rules from $1
That's
to
been
7 times whatever the cost is.
It's been that way for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was Lysander Spooner that tried to do a replacement to the post office.
Yep, he did.
But that has nothing to do with what the post office considers to be first class.
What were you saying?
Yeah, and he actually he was less expensive, and one of the courts still rules him unconstitutional or something.
Yep.
Every libertarian should know about that guy. Yeah, the American Letter Mail Company it was called, 1844.
And it's it would be interesting to see if somebody could compete in this realm. But I've got to say, as far as what the post office is now, this is a government-supported ad venue. An ad venue is an organization whose primary purpose is to deliver advertising to someone. And think about the stuff you get in the mail, ladies and gentlemen, because back when I had a mailbox, I would get pizza coupons, car wash coupons, Valpak, and all kinds of other things, advertising, all different stuff. Mostly I just tossed it because I wasn't interested in it. But I mean, that's what it is. At this point, when's the last time you got a letter, a handwritten letter delivered from somebody to you?
Depends on if that person's in jail or not.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's that, but
that's still a government institution. So I've not gotten things that are not going to or through a government institution.
Well, my son, part of his summer work assignments, summer school assignments that I assigned to him was he had to write a letter twice a week, and the purpose of that is to clean up his handwriting because it's atrocious. And
he's a boy.
Yeah, and to get him used to the idea of writing letters, and so
it's worth the effort to have good handwriting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, if you've got bad handwriting, you can change that anytime you want. It's just practice. Just practice letters and get better at
I
them.
have to pick between good handwriting and typing fast.
Right.
If I improve one, the other goes down, even if I
can type faster than I can write, that's for sure. And it's certainly much more legible, but there's nothing like a handwritten letter.
Do as I say, not as I do with your son, huh?
It's not bad. My handwriting's not bad for a guy, that's for sure.
Well, 10-year-olds have a lot more time to sit around writing letters.
True.
Than business owners.
Yeah. So anyway, Andrew, I would say that the post office was probably the greatest mistake of the Constitution. There's really no point in this thing. People, but there was a demand for people being able to write to each other, and they would have figured that out. And here's one last complaint I have. The idea that somebody in Barrow, Alaska can write somebody in Miami, Florida for 55 cents or whatever it costs to send a letter is the same price as somebody in Miami, Florida, mailing somebody in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's ridiculous. The piece of paper.
That's a terrible business model.
It's a stupid business model.
It's not a business model. It's a government agency model.
Yeah.
I was very torn recently because they've been quote unquote grilling the tech giants for, are you a monopoly? Are you not a monopoly? And I mean, they're not really grilling them. It's kind of this kabuki theater sort of show trial thing. Sure. But it's still people
who are part of a real monopoly.
Yeah, exactly.
Grilling people who are part of a market makers, a corporation that's a market maker.
On behalf of the monopoly on the execution of force,
it just doesn't make any sense.
I am concerned that you might have a monopoly on 280 character messages.
So, but right now, Andrew, what Democrats appear to be worried about is that the post office is being co-opted by Trump in order to win the election. So is this the perfect time to finally get rid of the post office?
If they would have a car and drive their happy self to the polls,
It's
they wouldn't
dangerous
have
there.
that problem. Yeah. They never could get themselves. Democrats could never get themselves to the polls before the lockdown. They had to have special Uber rides and buses and go pick up a voter friend program. No, Republicans never had that. If you can't make it to the poll, I'm not sure you should vote.
I'll never forget the lady who worked at the, let's call it an insane asylum or a place for people who have mental issues and stuff like that, who said that who I met, and she didn't know anything about me. She was just talking, and she said, every 4 years, I make sure that everybody at the hospital piles in the van and goes and votes. And before they vote, I tell them to vote Democrat. Now, look, the Republicans aren't a bunch of saints, that's for sure. But my God, are you kidding me? Basically, that means my 15 smartest friends. She said there was about 15 people in the van or something like that. I remember how I got the number 15. My 15 smartest friends' votes are all wiped out by this lady in her van full of inmates.
So as far as the safety of going to the polls, now I might be way off here, but I'm just thinking if you literally cannot breathe the same air as these other people, maybe you shouldn't dictate what they do with their life.
Yeah, this whole
secondhand.
This whole idea of universal suffrage, that everybody gets to vote.
Maybe if you're of working age, you get to vote. I mean, land ownership would be better, but
How about working?
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what the reason is. I mean, I get it that some people in Manhattan, for instance, can't own land or something. But I don't, and why should somebody who owns great swaths of land have a lesser vote?
As you pointed out earlier in the broadcast, none of us own land.
Right, that's true. And also, if that was the rule, they'd do that kind of thing where, one square inch of Texas ranch kind of thing, and then everybody would be a voter again.
Well, and I mean, the original idea
that's
for
true.
that was that you had skin in the game, and thus were less likely to be frivolous with your voting pattern.
Net taxpayers, something like
Yeah, and
some standard.
And the reason that it was men only was because they were draftable. So they were less likely to vote someone in who's going to put us to war because they might die if they do.
I don't want to say that's a fair trade because
Not
I would
saying
take
these are
I would
great
take the
ideas.
not voting over the being drafted, but
I'm not
it's
saying
a
these are great
trade
ideas,
that
but
makes
there were reasons
sense
for it.
from an aggressive mythology standpoint.
All I can say is if we're going to have these electronic voting machines, Andrew, we've just completely monopolized it here. Sorry, buddy. If we're going to have these electronic voting machines, then people should be able to answer, say, 10 questions off the American citizenship test before they cast their ballot. If they don't get 80% of that right, that meaning 8 questions out of 10.
But do I get to choose the questions?
No, they'll be randomly
Why not
selected.
me?
You have a phone in your
Why don't
pocket.
I
if you
get to
can't
choose the
Google, if you
questions?
can't Google the answer to the question, you don't need a vote.
The questions would be delivered to you and randomized off the test.
The DNC is going to mail out the questionnaire with answers to it. 2
Can I
months
write
before
the test?
election.
That'd be awesome.
Whoever hands out citizenship. It's pretty run-of-the-mill test. It's not even that difficult. If you don't know who the vice president is, you shouldn't be voting on who the president is, the next one. If you can't name...
Well, you think that's important. I might not.
Check out freetalklive.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Love it. We send it out once a week. Newsletter, freetalklive.com.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out innercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Addressing a major issue. Fox News, I'm Mary Corsetti. Fox is told a plan for the House to return to session to deal with the Postal Service is August 22nd, right between the parties' conventions, with a final announcement to be made tomorrow. Former U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Tom Ridge joins Fox's America's News headquarters to discuss voting by mail and absentee ballots.
I think the safe and secure in-person balloting is a very important option, but I think in the midst of the pandemic, we ought to give our voters the options. I have this view that both